Hey guys, Michael from Fire and Brilliance. And today's episode is going to be a special one because we are going to get into the creative ways that you can utilize when trying to figure out your partner's finger size. Okay, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. These are three creative ways that honestly I think is very logical. Not only is it creative, but it's very logical. And I think these are probably the best three ways you can do it. But obviously, there are other ways. And if you've been creative yourself and you're just trying to help people out and you've done something that's worked, definitely leave in the comment section below. Why am I going over this topic? Why is it important? Well, we are in the season of people thinking about proposing or about to propose because summer is around the corner. Most people that propose, not most, but I'd say a lot of people that propose, they think about setting up a date, a certain time, a place, a vacation, whatever the case may be. If you're in the situation right now, you might be thinking, what is her finger size? Well, I'm going to tell you number one. It's very logical. The first thing is to approach the people that are closest to her. Yes, you would be surprised that it sounds like common sense, but many people actually don't take this approach. Reach out to her social network. Right? People can be contacted in so many different forms nowadays through social media, through a text, through email, through phones, through you name it, right? Even if you were to just go to, let's just say, for example, if she's close to her parents, go to her parents. If she's closer to her siblings, go to her siblings, right? Go to their siblings, their significant friends, right? To go to their best friends, go to their close ones. Basically, my point is go to whoever they are closest to, because you'd be surprised that they do share this information many times, especially if you are the right one and they've been thinking about it. They do share this information. So the first thing that I would do personally, and a lot of times what our previous customers and clients have told us how they did it, was that they actually approach their best friend, their sister, their brother, their mom, their dad, their close friends and family, basically their loved ones. And if you can find that information, good for you. However, I understand this is not always the case. I understand that many times they themselves don't even know what their finger size is, right? But you don't want to blow the surprise. So how can you be creative about it? So tip number two is to basically measure it when they are sleeping. I know it sounds really sneaky and it sounds very silly, but if you can find an accurate finger sizer, okay, there are many of them online. Again, don't take my word for it. Make sure you find an accurate finger sizer, because full disclosure, we've actually had many people send in their finger size to make jewelry from us. If you don't know, we're a jewelry company, we're Fire and Brilliance, but many people actually sent their finger size to us. But when we made it, it was actually not the correct finger size, even though they did find a finger sizer online. So it is important that I say you make sure that when you do your research online to find a finger sizer, and there are many different types of finger sizers, right? Make sure you find something that has many high star reviews or many stars, to ensure that you get the accurate finger size. Okay, because the last thing you want to do is make a ring and think that it's the correct finger size when in actuality it wasn't, and you'll have to go through basically the headaches of resizing and so on and so on, right? And again, there are certain designs where you can't resize, so you might want to make sure you get this right. That said, let me go back to point number two. If you can find the correct finger sizer that's accurate, measure it when they're sleeping. Yes, when they're taking a nap, when they're home from work and they're really tired, maybe a night out and you guys are really tired, right? And they're just passed out. Okay, this is a perfect time to measure their finger. That said, make sure they are really, really sleeping. Okay, you don't want to blow the surprise. Like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you measuring my finger in the middle of my sleep? Right? Well, basically, use common sense. If you're gonna do it, make sure they're really passed out and they're sleeping. Okay, so that's tip number two. And tip number three is basically borrow an existing ring. Yes, if they are a jewelry enthusiast and if they already love wearing jewelry, then they may already have a ring that fits that finger. Okay, obviously the wedding finger, right? Now, if it's not that finger, then you want to get a ring. If you want to make sure you take a look at their fingers and see if their fingers are different in shape and size, or are most of their fingers the same size. So you want to pick the finger that's closest in size visually to their wedding finger. Now, obviously, it might not be 100% accurate, but this is another way to do it. But it can get pretty close to it, right? If they have relatively the same types of finger structure and size, right? There are many people that actually have different finger sizes overall. One might be thicker than the other, so that might not work. But if you are with someone who has fingers that are relatively the same in size, then that might work for you. Okay, so those are the three, and those are in order for a reason. Number one being the most logical reasoning. Make sure you ask someone that they're close to, because there's a high chance they might know their finger size, especially if they are already contemplating in marrying you, right? Number two, basically, you can measure their finger when they are sleeping or passed out, or when they're not paying attention, however you want to do it. You can be creative with it, but make sure the finger sizer that you purchase is accurate. And then finally, number three, if the first two options are out of the question, if they're already wearing jewelry, then you might be in luck that you can actually measure one of their fingers. Okay, and then or measure one of their rings rather. And the best way to do it is, if you can somehow borrow one of their rings, take it to a jeweler real quick and have it measured. They'll be fine. But make sure if you're gonna do this, make sure that you're careful with their jewelry. Don't actually lose it. Okay. Or you could just buy a ring sizer and then measure it at their at wherever you're actually finding their rings from. Okay, so that is are those are my three creative ways in terms of finding your partner's finger size. And those are some ways that some of our previous clients have also found their partner's finger size. Let me know your thoughts. Is there something that I have not gone over? Is there a creative way that you yourself have done? And if you want to share it, leave in the comment section below. I'm sure it'll help somebody out. Again, we are on TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. We're on there. You can follow me personally, Michael underscore F and B. On my LinkedIn is actually something different. You can just type in Michael Fire and Brilliance. I'm sure you'll be able to find it on there. Or you can also follow Fire and Brilliance, and or both, right? We have different types of content, different social media outlets. So that said, if you enjoy what you see here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't checked out the last episode, basically what I went over was 3 things you should do before purchasing an engagement ring. And if you are, again, in the market for an engagement ring, I think it's very important that you actually check that episode out. You go ahead and click right here to your right, or tap on it. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.